I was back in my hotel room that night. I'm like, my God, I was shoulder to shoulder with James Taylor.
Welcome to Tony's Backstage Pass. This is a behind the scenes of the music industry where Tony strips back the curtain and shows you what really goes on. So tune in and tune up. It's gonna be a wild ride.
Okay. Welcome to Tony's Backstage Pass. On today's episode, we have two guests, kind of. The first one is the winner of the TV show The Voice, Season 18. The other one is a historic theater located in Meridian, Mississippi. What I mean is, these places where we play mean as much to us as musicians as the musicians that we play with. These places have a personality. They have the imprint of the performers who came before us. And when you walk out on that stage, you become a part of that history. So at the end of your performance, hopefully, you have imprinted your mojo on that place for future performers. So in this episode, it is my privilege to share the stage with an extremely talented singer, a voice as sweet as the tea in Mississippi, and also perform one of his songs on one of the most beautiful stages and historic stages anywhere. I give you Todd Tilghman at the MSU Riley Center. We are in Meridian, Mississippi at a beautiful MSU Riley Center. This theater is awesome. Built in 1889, is in a historic theater. We're meeting up with a friend of mine, Todd Tilghman. You know him from The Voice.
That's it, I'll take it, man. Every time.
So we're gonna jam, we're gonna talk a little bit, get you a little behind the scenes of how these TV shows work. And also, this is true backstage stuff. Here's how performers see. You walk out on stage and look it. Beautiful. MSU Riley Center, Meridian, Mississippi. Todd, thanks for being on my show. Thanks for coming to the Backstage Pass. It's a pleasure meeting you. Actually, we never formally met. We both lived in Meridian and you probably knew of each other and stuff up until this point. But I wanted to ask, of course, everybody knows, the winner of The Voice, congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate that, man.
Awesome,
thanks.
But fill us in, what happens behind? How does that really how did it come about for you? I mean, were you always looking to do that kind of thing or what?
No, like several years ago, I think maybe I had a midlife crisis, I don't know. Like something inside was like, you gotta do something different. Like something has to change about the way you do life. And so that I reached out to friends about real estate, I looked into going to barber school, so many different things. And so like springtime in 2019, I've since given up, let me just say that. But I was trying to teach myself how to play piano. And so I just would bang the chords out on piano and I would sing 1-minute covers of, I sang hymns, I sang Cyndi Lauper, I sang Poison, Garth Brooks, Willie Nelson, just all kinds of. And so a friend reached out and they sent me this little link to register to audition for The Voice. Right. And they said, you should do this. And I mentioned it to my wife and she was like, yeah, so I went and registered. Well, that was like springtime. The audition was in like late summer, late July. And so, a very long story short, because of circumstances, I decided I wasn't going. Because to me, it's a waste of time. I'm going to drive from Meridian, Mississippi, all the way 4.5, 5 hours to Atlanta, Georgia, wait in this insane line, which both did happen. But my wife, man, we always say she's the gas and I'm the brakes. We always say that. Really? And she just really was fairly adamant that I go. And so really more to appease her. I went and that's where
she saw something, she knew.
I guess, yeah. I mean, that's where this all sort of started. And I did, man. I waited in a long line, sang 30 seconds of a song of my choice and a cappella. And
really?
The rest is just sort of history from there. That's the beginning. That's how it all got started, though.
You go into it, become a part of this TV show, you're a contestant, you go in. What are you thinking at this point in time? I mean, are you just like, I'm going to ride this thing?
Yeah.
Or were you competitive? Were you like, no, I got this. I'll look at his voice, forget it, I got this.
Well, honestly, the entire time I was kind of like, why am I here? Like, and I don't mean, I really don't mean this in like a hee-haw, gloom, despair, and agony type way. I really don't. I just never assumed that I would win, or make it very far in the competition. So I guess that I didn't really have a competitive mindset about it. I just was hoping that I would make it through whatever the next round was every time. And I think one of the best lessons I took from it was just do it afraid. I was scared to death the whole time. So no, honestly, I felt like I didn't belong. Like, these people are all so good, and all of them also have a history. Even the younger ones, well, I don't want to say all of them, but the vast majority of them have a history of performance and being even just maybe to a small degree part of the industry and the culture of music. And I sang in church my whole life. I'd never, if you don't count church, I had never really done a show, like a performance. And so I felt out of place and nervous.
Well, and that brings up a good point about the church, because the church, to me, is a wonderful breeding ground for musicians.
Yeah, it is, man.
I mean, you want a weekly gig? There it is.
Yep.
My dad, when he retired from performing, on the road and all that, he went to the church, and he used to tell me all the time that the people you play for Saturday night are the same ones you play for Sunday morning.
That's right.
And to him, it was just it was a gig.
Yeah.
It was a different venue,
Yeah.
And what we were talking about earlier, church is a different kind of singing, though,
Yeah.
and a different kind of performance. And you were a pastor.
That's right.
For a long time. So I could see that being kind of, now you're thrown into this whole thing.
Yeah.
But being a pastor, I mean, maybe that gave you an edge. I mean, did a lot of other people, want to pick your brain, or did you have great conversations?
Yeah.
And because that's in you, when you're a pastor, that's a calling.
I have said to a ton of people, my wife especially, I've had this conversation with my wife a million times, that now I want to say I don't despise in any way the time that I spent in traditional ministry. Oh my gosh, it's been invaluable to me. But I do feel like even my time on The Voice, it gave me an opportunity to really just like love people, and even since The Voice, I feel really much more fully immersed in actual boots on the ground ministry, like following Jesus and being who he wants me to be in the world. Not that pastoral ministry is just a little more compartmentalized, I guess. You do certain, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I loved it. But now it seems a more, I don't know, like more grassroots almost. I don't know how I want to put that, but yeah.
You would hear bullets whizzing by, and we'd always say, well, it's the bullet that you don't hear that's coming straight at you. So thank God you heard the bullet go by. The worst thing is seeing the Humvees coming back, going to the morgue, bringing the pieces of the bodies from the group. That just killed me inside. And it was so hard to even look at. The nightmares were horrible for many, many months. They were unbearable, just sweating, just waking up screaming. Something would happen and I would just weep and go into a depressive state.
For more information, please visit www.guitarsforvets.org. That's guitar with an S, the number 4, vets.org.
And walk us through, like, what's a day like on that show when they call you, you show up. I mean, leading up to a performance, what's that like?
Oh man, I met some of the coolest people from all over the country, and with the coolest backgrounds, it just was remarkable.
Well, and also you got to hang out with, the hosts of The Voice and everything, and all them were your coaches. And
There's a lot of work that goes in, and now this is one thing that I have said as far as the entertainment world, and music, television. I was completely ignorant, like 100, and it's cool. I'm just kind of a pastor from Mississippi. I do my life, and I didn't assume that I knew anything. So my assumptions were that it was going to be kind of almost like a rude atmosphere. I was so pleasantly surprised that it was just not. I've said from day one, the people on that show were so good to me and to us. All of the artists on the show were so not only just kind and accommodating and personable. You got to have conversations with the PAs that are there. They're doing their job. And then when you're around the people who produce the show, for me there was a very real sense that they want you to succeed. That if everyone could win the show, that's what they would do.
Right. Yeah.
So you have time with people who help you vocally, and they say, maybe you should try this. And I mean, my gosh, I was with James Taylor, and I'm standing shoulder to shoulder to James. And it's so funny because he's so soft-spoken that I just sort of naturally eased over beside him because he was giving me notes on my song and I couldn't hear him. And then I was back in my hotel room that night. I'm like, my God, I was shoulder to shoulder with James Taylor, who is talking about my song and maybe I should try this. And, and you just, in the moment, I feel like I should have appreciated that more. But I don't know, I guess I was just so nervous. But yeah, you work with the band, I'll never forget my first band rehearsal. I walk in, it's for my blind audition, And so they're really great people. They greet you and say hello, and you kind of tell you who they are. You sort of know. I'd met them like in an earlier time in a meeting, and then they say, "Okay, we've got tonight. You're going to do it in A." And the band leader is the guy on the keyboard, Paul, and I'll never forget as long as I live. He kind of closed his eyes and went, "Doodle, doodle, doodle," and then he's like, "All right," and then we did it. And like he just went, and so you work with the band, and then of course it's TV, so there's someone there to make sure that you don't look bad.
Right, yeah.
Because my style is, lacking. You can tell. There's no wardrobe department.
Yeah, I know, right?
And so they make sure you look good, I guess. And you have several opportunities to go over your song, and you have several, like, really very invaluable people there that help you with that. When the time comes to perform, you just feel like you're going to poop your pants, or puke or die.
Yeah, because you're live.
Puke and then poop and then die.
Yeah, you're live.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
You really do think that. And so my blind audition, no joke, man. You can sort of hear what's happening in other people's blind auditions. I was dying. I was literally dying inside. And finally, I got out. You walk out on the stage. I mean, you see on the show, it's the stage manager says the next contestant is taking the stage now. I will say, when I got on stage, I'm not trying to be like Superman. I was still really nervous, but much better. I don't know. I felt much better. I guess you're sort of like resigned to it then.
Well, yeah, you're committed.
Yeah,
you're in.
What am I going to do?
Right.
What are you going to be like, you know what, never mind, y'all.
At that point, you're jumping out of the plane, the chute's going to open.
Or not.
Hopefully. Yeah, or not, right?
And so I felt a little better, I did. I was still really nervous, but I felt a little better. By the time it was all four, I don't know, because that a lot of people say, like, you black out. I did not black out. When they announced the winner, I don't remember a handful of seconds after that.
Okay.
But in my blind audition, I remember singing the song. I remember seeing the chairs turn. I remember the cameras coming by me, and I remember it vividly.
Yeah, you were in that moment.
Yeah, what a remarkable experience that was, man.
It's funny that you remember that moment over winning. And that just tells me, from a performer standpoint, you know what I mean? We always remember, people think, oh, well, when they won the Emmy, or when they won this award or this. For us, it's different. Performers, singers, musicians, we remember the different stuff.
Oh, man, yeah. If you were to ask me to give you only one high point, it would have been when I watched back the performance of Love Me, even over winning. I don't know. Number one, my kids were there, and nice. And it wasn't just that, though. I think you sing that song live, like it's live to tape, but there's no like, oh, you know what, I need to start over. No, it's live. You sing it live.
That's their performance.
That's
it.
your performance. And
Yeah.
so I want to be like real clear that there wasn't any like, you know.
And I think some people do think that.
Yeah,
sometimes.
no, you do
But
sing
that's good to know.
You sing it live, you know. Now you do get to go through it once for sound purposes,
Yeah, yeah.
and then
Sound
when
check.
it's
You
when
do
it's
your
yeah
sound check,
when it's
yeah.
performance time, bam, you're singing, you know. And I was weeping when they panned back to me, and I think something just settled inside my heart. You know, you did right by doing this. Like, you did the right thing by taking this leap or something.
And that's probably why you won, because it came from here. It didn't come from here.
Yeah, maybe.
You know?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I've said a million times, man. If COVID had never happened and we had gone back to California, there's no way I would have won.
You think so?
I think my baby girl sleeping, sucking her thumb did it or something. Because I mean, you look at these guys on there like Tanisha Harris and Thunderstorm and Cam West and Micah. These guys that were just in the finale with me. And that's not even to count like Joanna and Allegra and all these other people that like Mike Jarrell.
Great singers.
Oh my gosh, man.
Really good singers.
I heard Mike Jarrell practicing, and I was like, there's no way I can beat that guy. He's just so good.
Yeah.
Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs, increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance. Plus, stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger too.
Perfect for home therapy. Whisper quiet to use while you work.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor for 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless remote. Call now.
Singers, especially singers, you know, I mean, I'm a musician, so I see it from maybe a step back. When I watch playing in bands and playing with singers like you, I'm watching you, you're performing, doing your thing. And some singers, and my dad was a singer, I grew up watching him perform. He's also a performer, and it's that connection.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got guys like Bono, I'll put out there, not the biggest range in the world, technically. But he's got that connection.
Yeah,
he has that
he
charisma. He makes that connection, you know, and I think you're very personable. You know, you make good eye contact. I think it's that, and you sing wonderfully. I mean, and we'll go into the Mississippi. I think you're blessed with the Mississippi thing
Me
here.
too, yeah.
And I know a lot of people may say, oh, what about this state or that state? I'm sorry, there's something here.
Yeah, I'm
you know,
telling
there's
you.
a reason the blues, you know, was originated here.
Yeah,
There's something.
the birthplace of America's music, man.
This is
Mississippi.
it. There is something in the water, and that's what I was telling you before, how I made the reverse trek from Chicago to here, because I grew up my whole life, my dad telling me, oh, well, you know, Muddy Waters ain't from here, he's from Mississippi. The King's from Mississippi, you know, and I'm like, well, what about this place?
Yeah.
You know, and then when I came down, I got working for Hartley for Peavy, I was telling you my audition was basically me and Hartley Peavy driving in his car and him showing me where Jimmy Rogers rode the rails and where he saw Bo Diddley as a teenager playing some jute joint by the railroad track.
Which is insane. That's kind of like the James Taylor thing. Like, it's almost like you hear Bo Diddley as a teenager. You don't even realize what's happening. You know what I mean? Until it's
you don't
over.
know,
Like,
you don't
my
know that's
gosh.
historic,
Yeah,
or that's
look at this,
that's important.
Yeah.
Because reflection, you know, hindsight,
Oh my
2020.
gosh,
You know, like
yeah.
you went back to your hotel room. And that's when you went, whoa.
I was like, I'm with James Taylor,
Yeah.
you know, and
I've had a few of those where I got to meet Les Paul.
yeah, oh yeah.
It was one of those moments, you
Yeah.
know, where you're like, this is the guy that invented electric guitar, standing right in front of me. The reason why I do what I do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was the nicest man. Yeah, but you don't see it as that right there.
We're in the moment.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. It's almost like, it's kind of like when you hear a song when you're driving down the road. And this is one, even though I feel like there are several minuses, this is one plus to technology, is that when you're driving down the road and a good song comes on and you just space, you're like, I did not appreciate that song. So you can start it.
Do it again.
You can just pop it and start it back over without rewinding the tape or whatever, you know. Yeah. And so I do love that, you know, because sometimes you really don't realize, like, wow. Like, I mean, like before the battle round on the show, I was backstage with John Mullins, who's actually become a pretty good friend of mine, you know. And we literally both standing backstage and like, we are on The Voice. This is insane, you know? Like, this is not what happens to normal people, you know? And it's just, we did have kind of a moment of like realization, I guess. This is really happening. Like, we're really, because you're looking around, there's all the lights and the things, and there's an audience out there, and the coaches are sitting out there, you know? And
what's neat about that, like I said, the TV thing, that happened to me, I was telling you, with Duck Dynasty. You know, when Duck Dynasty was big on the air. I wasn't on it. I mean, it was my music, you know. And what I never realized when I did the music, a lot of people, like I had, like famous people that I didn't know, that we had maybe shared a friend or whatever, reach out to me, and like Kev Mo calls me one day to ask me about my slide playing, what tuning and stuff I used on some track.
Wow.
On a TV show, you know, and you're like, what?
It's still super cool,
You're
though.
Kev Mo, though. You know what I mean? I mean, I should be asking
what
you
am I gonna
a million
teach you?
questions. There's nothing I can teach you.
That's right.
And here he's just like, well, I love that riff, and I just, what, are you an A? Is that an open A? And I'm like, yes, sir. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, that's another thing for me, my whole world. I just sing. I've just been singing. So we would be there. Speaking of the battle round, I don't want to say this wrong. I'm pretty sure we were in a practice session, and John says, "Can you go back to the 5?" And I was like, "I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know what that means." So I'm just going to trust you, you know. I just sing, you know. I just sing the songs, you know. I can tell if something's off, you know, and I can, if I have a sense, like, or an idea of a feel, I know how to do that. One of the songs that I wrote with some friends, it's so funny, the whole way the song got started is like, I want a song that feels like Seeger, you know?
There you
like
go.
that feel, you know?
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, you know, and then we sort of moved out from there, and then now it's a song.
Well, that's what a lot of writing does come from. It's a point of view. Sometimes you need that point of view, you know? Or, you know, I had I was writing a song with a buddy of mine, and you know, for me as a writer, I'm more of an arranger and a music writer. I don't write a ton of lyrics, but I have to name the song something. So when I'm writing music and progressions and riffs or whatever, you got to name it something so you remember what it is.
That's right.
So I named it I sent it to a friend of mine, and my friend calls me up and he goes, "That's a great title for a song." He goes, "When I saw the title, I know what the whole song's about."
That's right, yeah.
And I was like, "Oh,
that
I had
happens
no
all the time.
And he's like, "Well, did you have lyrics that you wanted me?" And I'm like, "Dude, I just named it this."
Yeah.
It was just
But then
a
it's
name.
born from that. It always is like that. Like I reached out to a friend of mine that I've been kind of writing with, not quite as much as some other people, but we've got some things in the works to write together. And I was like, I don't know, I just have this song title and a premise, and that's all I have. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we can work with that." So that's how you don't just walk in, you know, and say, I mean, who am I? I don't know. I've only written a handful of songs, but I have had the great honor to write them with some remarkable people, you know, but it is, you just...
Yeah, The Voice did open that door.
Yeah, it did.
Know,
you just sort of sit around the room and you're like, hey, you know, if I could go back and tell myself at 25, you don't really know everything, you know? I know you've got politics figured out, you got religion figured out, you know? But if I could go back, I would. And if I could go back at 35 and say to myself, you know, give yourself a break. Like, don't just live to pay the bills, you know, because when in my 30s, you forget that life's even fun. You know, you're making sure the kids are fed and, you know, the lights stay on and everyone's in your life is satisfied. And so,
but, you know, when you did go to The Voice, you know, like you were saying, you were older, but what a lot of people haven't achieved, you know, you have a beautiful wife, you have eight kids, 8 beautiful children. And by the way, I have a message for you from my wife.
Okay.
My wife, last night she comes to me, she goes, "You didn't tell me Todd's oldest son is Egan. I love him.
Oh, yeah.
He's so talented. She loves that show that he was on, Making It.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, is that his dad?
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
you know, we didn't make the connection. She fell in love with him.
Yeah.
He is an amazingly talented
Oh my
young
gosh,
man.
yeah. And it's so funny. Both of those are NBC shows.
Yeah.
It's just totally unrelated though.
They-
Here's how we pulled that off. Egan auditioned for Making It and got on the show.
Well, he's talented.
Yeah,
He's
and I auditioned
very-
for The Voice and got on the show. That's
Well,
how
so
we
you're a
did it.
very talented family. We'll see, you know, all the other Tilghmans, see what happens,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
with all your other children.
Oh, we
And-
got, oh my gosh, so much talent in my family. I've got a 16, almost 17. He raps, but I know I'm his dad, and I never want to be that dad in the corner on American Idol that's like crying, but the kid is just really sucking. You know what I mean? That's like the dad's like, yes. You know, I want to be the dad that's like, maybe not, you know, and maybe something else. But I mean, he writes these raps, and I mean, clearly we're white, you know, but still, they are very good. I mean, lyrically so good, you know. And so what he'll do is and I love it. I mean, he'll text me and say, what work can I do to earn money to go in the studio? And so he'll earn money, he'll go in the studio, and he'll cut one of his raps, and they really are. And you know, it's hard to tell the younger ones. The baby girl, if she will sing, she can. There's a video floating out there. I might can find it for you, of her. I'm no kidding. She's like 2 years old. I'm not exaggerating. It's on video. We're riding down the road. She's strapped in her car seat at 2 years old, and she's singing. I mean, with a 2-year-old, you know, voice, so she's not perfectly enunciated, but she's singing. Mama's all right and Daddy's all right. It just seem a little, and she's singing the whole thing. Surrender.
Now, that's good parenting,
Yeah,
right
I
there.
mean, and
That
she
is
knows-
fantastic.
she knows
She's
the
singing
words.
Cheap Trick at 2 years old.
Yeah, and she can sing.
I'm a
She
fan. I'll tell you that.
Want more Backstage stories? Become a member of our Patreon page. You'll get access to bonus footage, full performances, swag, and special live events where you can interact with guests. This is your Backstage Pass.
We're at the Riley Center here in Meridian, Mississippi.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about, because again, a lot of things with musicians, it's environment. What inspires us. A lot of songs, a lot of performances. We're going to jam a little bit here in a little bit, but how lucky are we to be able to, this Riley Center that we're in, and you have a performance coming up here soon.
Yeah, I'll be with the Symphony Orchestra, which is so out of my lane, really.
So that's cool.
But for their Christmas show, Peppermint Pops, I'll be here. Yeah.
Nice.
And so oh man, this place. One of the number one stories I tell about this place is how I really had the unique experience that I had 2 first impressions. Because the first time I came here, I was auditioning for like a little singing troupe that traveled around. I was like 14 or 15. And actually, again, I didn't know. And so I was really like over auditioned, you know, everyone else was coming in and they're like singing, you know, whatever, just kind of a cappella. I brought a cassette tape and played the track and
There you go, you're prepared.
I sang Wind Beneath My Wings.
Nice.
And, but this place was in disrepair, you know.
It was
And
before
so-
the renovation.
Yeah,
and
it's
all that.
before all of that, yeah. And then to get to come back in again after they've really restored it. And they didn't, I mean, it's fully restored like to its original. And it's just looking around the room is just remarkable. And then to know all the people that have been in here,
performed
you know.
and
And,
stuff. And this is a great sounding. That's another thing with theaters. I mentioned to you before, I saw Tony Bennett perform here, and he came out and he started speaking really softly, and the whole crowd got real quiet, thinking, you know, I mean, he's 150 years old or whatever, 80 years old, but so we're thinking, oh, you know, it's Tony Bennett. But he put the mic away. He said it was such a treat to sing here because he doesn't get in a lot of theaters where he can sing a cappella.
Right.
And he did pretty much the whole performance without a microphone.
Yeah, because
And
the
it
way
was
the room is.
the way
yeah.
the room is set up.
Yeah.
And that was really neat to see, like, he enjoyed it. That was like special to him.
Yeah. I mean, when you sing, especially, I feel like me and Tony Bennett might share this quality, especially when your voice is really loud. It's really cool that you could just stand right here on the stage, and the person sitting right up there no mic, is going to hear, like, get the full experience of what you're singing, because that's what I used to say. I had a powerful voice, but then people started thinking I was bragging, so I changed it to loud. I have a really loud voice.
No, you project.
Yeah, it's super loud.
You can project. So one thing I did want to bring up real quick here, just let's talk a little bit about just Meridian and Mississippi in general, because I feel it's important. Last time we were here, we were at the Temple Theater. And I mean, how many little towns? This is really a little town, and it's right off of 59. I mean, you can from Atlanta to New Orleans, you can whip right past here and not realize how much talent.
Yeah, and culture.
And history. Like we were talking before, with Jimmy Rogers, the godfather of country music.
Man.
I mean, this is like kind of a ground zero place.
Yeah, he's buried like quarter of a mile from my house.
Yeah, I mean, we went to the grave and we shot all that, because that's important, I think, for musicians. We're kind of maybe amateur historians, a lot of musicians, we like that kind of thing, but not knowing where you come from, how do you know where to go sometimes?
That's right, yeah.
And Meridian is this really neat place that keeps producing. So it's not like it had a history 50 years ago and hadn't done anything since. This town has been able to reinvent itself and is still reinventing itself.
That's right, yeah.
For the future, and you're, one of the shining stars, moving Meridian forward. I mean, really, there is, because we have a Seal Award, and we have Haley Williams, and
Jamal just was top 3 on the BET's Sunday Best. So many, and that's just right now.
And writers. Actors and actresses, and 2 historic theaters, and the Max, and then now that Children's Museum's going up and stuff. So there's a lot of music, of course, Hartley Peavy, innovation of musical instruments and stuff, all from this little town.
Yeah.
And one of the messages we always try to get out, especially with my show, is it's these little towns where Todd Tilghman's come from.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, the big cities are great and all, but a lot of the stuff comes from these little towns, and it's important to reinvest back in these little towns. And the one thing I can honestly say that's wonderful about Mississippi, like you said, the birthplace of American music.
Yeah.
It's Mississippi, they may think of Mississippi's history as being one thing. I see it as this gift. That Mississippi has given to the world, because this music celebrated all over the world. I remember I was in Sweden, this honest to God truth, during the whole Duck Dynasty hype, but they didn't have Duck Dynasty at the time, so they didn't know who I was.
Right.
So I'm just on vacation in Sweden with my wife. I go into a music store, which is what musicians do, because I want to see a music store in Sweden. And I walk in there and they had this record section. Wouldn't you know, the first record I see in the bin is best top 100 hits of Mississippi blues.
There you go.
And it was a picture of Robert Johnson on there, and I'm like, I had to fly all the way to
Sweden
to find an album about Mississippi. But that's how important, and to them, that's a rare jewel.
That's right, yeah.
To them.
But I'm not one of those people that correct people. But after The Voice, I'll never forget someone said, how does it feel that you put Meridian on the map? I'm like, I didn't put Meridian on the map. Meridian's been on the map for years and years, decades and decades. I'm just really hoping that I can keep that legacy proud. You know what I mean? No, this place has been on the map since way before I was even born.
In a lot of ways, I think it prepared you without you even realizing. You were prepared for it, because in a lot of cities, we travel as musicians and stuff, and you see a lot of places, and you're like, there's just nothing here.
Yeah.
And then you go to Meridian, where there shouldn't be anything here, but there is.
You stand on the corner on a Friday night, you can hear 4 bands on this right out here.
And the level of musicianship here is amazing. I mean, I always brag about, because I know he hasn't really broken big yet, but to all of us, he's a big deal, is Chris Stone.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a Mississippi boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, B.B. King found him when he was, 9 years old. And he could rip then.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid's, 18 or 19 now. And for a lot of people who search him out, he's a true, to me, the future of Mississippi.
Yeah,
like
and
yourself.
I'm not trying to say Mississippi's better. But what I will say is a lot of people have a lot of really nasty things to say about Mississippi, and so I'm really proud of that we do have that history. I mean, a lot of those nasty things I don't know that you should say them the way that you say them, but they might be true. Some of them, you know. But we also do have this really very rich, like musical and cultural art, all the arts really.
Now, and just approach that a little bit is we have this history, but look what came from it.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you can turn a negative into a positive.
Yeah, it's beauty from ashes.
Yeah, and isn't that what, I mean, there's story after story in the Bible about
right,
that.
yeah, that's the concept of the Bible.
Yeah, and none of us are perfect, and nobody's, you know, everybody has a past,
right,
wherever you go. And Mississippi is no different, but what I always appreciate, and again, like I made the reverse trek, I know I'm, you know, Chicago to Mississippi, but I spent 12 years here, and I embraced every day of it.
Yeah.
When I was here, because I saw how special. I came from a big city and saw this nice town and went, wow, okay, and they embraced me. So and that was another nice thing, because again, who am I really, you know? Yeah. And then all of a sudden this duck show happens.
Right.
And it becomes this
you just never know, though, man.
And then all of a sudden I'm on this stage playing with the Mississippi All-Stars and playing with all these other people, being invited to sit in.
To me, it's just these people that have like so gone out of their way. But I mean, I don't really deserve that. You know, people have driven hours and hours to come to a theater in Tennessee just to hear me ramble on and sing a few songs, and that they buy T-shirts and they send letters in the mail, and people have made, oh my gosh, the state of Mississippi made a proclamation, and then, but even to me, equally as important, some guy just made this plaque that's got like my face on it and the voice thing, and all these years in ministry have taught me that winning the voice for me, or being on it at all, will be like when the Israelites crossed the Jordan and they set up those stones. Like, you make a memorial, but you move on. You know, like, you remember this was great, you know, and anytime you come back this way, you remember. But then you got to keep moving, you know, and keep going. And really what keeps you going, and I still to this day don't understand, I'm sure no artist understands, is people, why they even care, you know, but they do. And they love you, and they just treat you much better than you deserve, and that's what keeps you going, you know.
Well, let's give them some music.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
And then we're going to do a song that you wrote. And
yeah, we're going to give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm very honored that you allowed me to even.
Oh man, it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, worst case scenario, we screw it up. You know.
Stop whitening your smile the old-fashioned way with strips and trays that can take 30 minutes to an hour. I'm Jonathan Greenhut, the CEO of PowerSwabs. When I met Dr. Ginniker and he introduced me to PowerSwabs, and I saw how effective they were and how easy they were to use, I knew we had to share it with the world. PowerSwabs was clinically studied to whiten natural teeth as well as stain caps, crowns, and veneers. It's so effective, it works on stains caused by coffee, tea, red wine, and even smoking. For those of you who have that one stained tooth, PowerSwabs can target that area using swab precision.
I was actually able to take the swab and really get through some of those areas that are kind of like untreated. I can immediately see the shades getting brighter and brighter, or whiter and whiter.
Order PowerSwabs and receive up to 50% off the retail price. And as an added bonus, get a free quick stick pen with your order. Dial the number on your screen today.
Okay, you ready?
Let's do it. Yeah, you know we rolled the dice, and for a while, you know it all felt right. Then we found out we were fire and ice, baby. Didn't work out like we thought it could, but at its worst it still was something good. And if you ask me if I think I would again, I'd do it in a heartache. I'd do it in a heartache. I would do it in a heartache. Yes, I would. We had our highs and we had our lows. We didn't give up, but we sure came close. Is that a road that I'd go down again? I would do it in a heartache. I'd do it in a heartache. I would do it in a heartache. Yeah, I would do it in a heartache. Even if it's heartbreak, I'd still take the hard way. I would do it in a heartache. Yeah, here we are, baby, tried and true. You know it's real when I say I love you. And if you ask me if I'd walk back through that fire, I would do it in a heartache. I would do it in a heartache. I'd do it in a heartache. Yes, I would. I'd do it in a heartache. I would do it in a heartache. I'd do it in a heartache. Yeah, 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 yeah. And I would do it again. I would do it again. I would do it again and again and again. I would do it in a heartache. Yeah, 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 yeah. I would do it in a heartache. Do it in a heartache. I would do it in a heartache. Yeah. All right. No college chord.
Nope.
Still good, though. Still good.
Didn't need it.
All right, man.
I could have gone down. That was awesome.
Man, thank you.
That's a great song. That is
I appreciate it.
really good.
Yeah, that's the song
That's a
that
really
we
good
wrote
song.
that I was like, I want it to seem like Seeger. I want it to feel like Seeger.
That is a good song. That is a
It was like, I think it was like that ready before.
Want more Backstage stories? Become a member of our Patreon page. You'll get access to bonus footage, full performances, swag, and special live events where you can interact with guests. If you like what we're doing, please tell a friend and share. We really appreciate your support. This is your Backstage Pass.
What an experience. If you ever get a chance to do this, I absolutely recommend it.
100%.
Hi, good. I'm looking for Marcia.
Well, you got her right here. You must be Chrissy.
I am Chrissy.
We're talking about our book.
Yes.
God called me to go to Africa, and I would just go to Africa to minister to the people.